hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are.
Good evening and welcome to Hands Off. My name is Red Hackett. I'll be your host. And tonight we are continuing on with speaking with individuals that have been a part of the Breaking Code Silence movement, congregate care, whatever you want to call it. I always like to say it. It is defined as abuse. So my guest tonight is, his story is a little bit different than what we've seen before. So first, let me welcome him to the show. Rocko Fowler, thank you so much for coming on board. I really appreciate you doing this for us. And can you give us like a quick little introduction? Tell us, where you're from, what, a little bit of your background, and then we'll jump into you telling your story. So go ahead, take it away and intro yourself.
My name is Rocko Fowler. I am currently 35. I will be 36 the 13th of May.
Ooh, it's coming up.
This is a beautiful thing right here. I am currently from New York. I am in Blue Springs, Missouri right now. So, I am really like taking a, leap at what I'm about to explore with you guys tonight and explain to you tonight firsthand, first seeing it, first coming out about it.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's just sad.
Absolutely. So
me, I never had a high school diploma.
Okay.
So I always hung out with kids that were, older than me and that were into substances and, but so, I really never made it that far in life. I think it's because, like I said before, about trauma starting within the womb. And then as I got, a little bit older, I saw the older kids doing things in the neighborhood that I thought was cool. And we'll take it from there with the story.
So wait, let me kind of like set it up for you. Talk about how you first were put into what I will call the system, that you had a very significant event happen in front of you that kind of like started.
Well, that's what I call it. That's what I call it, the system. Well, I look at the system at all angles, every bit of the system, from taking food out of kids' mouths.
Yes.
So to doing all kinds of disgusting, hateful, heinous acts.
For sure. But Rocko,
videos, nothing being done.
Tell us how you ended up into the system. Like, what was that significant event that took place that led you to be put in there?
I was already, I believe, targeted. I have spiritual beliefs of past lives That's not something I'll really get into on this show, but maybe a private call or whatever. But pretty much how I ended up in foster care is at 13 years old, I decided I was going to take my grandparents' vehicle for a ride. I was sent to live with my father because I drove the car through the garage. It was a Lincoln Continental. And I knocked a John Deere lawnmower through the back wall, and I got out of the car, and the steam's going up, and the neighbors across the street. And I'm like, am I in trouble? He said, yeah, I think you're in trouble. So at the time, my father was living in what I like to call it's Missouri, but I really like to call it misery. Anyways, he, after about, I'd say good 3 months, I was living with my father. His life was taken by a man who ended up having a 25-year sentence without the chance of parole. And somehow, some way, he got out within 7 years with no parole.
And I'm sorry, can you just tell us real quick, how old were you when that happened? When your father's life was
14,
taken? 14?
14.
And at that point...
So that night, my father's friend, who was one of my friends, because everybody loved my father. They, adored my father. Tried to get me to a phone where I could get away and hide out because they already knew what the cops were going to do. I was brought to, I believe it was Gainesville Police Station, that is in Missouri. And I was shipped right into a home. And the words out of their mouth was, get in your effing room and go to sleep. You're only here for the weekend. And you're being shipped off to the Missouri Baptist Children's Home, where the fun began, where the restraining began, where the forced indoctrination began, where the you're going to burn in hell, and, you're a New Yorker, so you're always going to be dumb. And, at that time, I was trying to, work on, when my mind was telling me I wanted to be a rapper. And I really wanted to be a rapper because, that's what I do. Is music is my escape.
Mm-hmm.
But so the first day I get to this place, they're like, you're going to love it here. Now, this is in St. Louis, Missouri. Okay. Now I got moved from one county to the next county. I was stuck in the system till almost 16 years old. Okay. I went in and out of abusive foster homes, locked in rooms for, days on end, overly medicated, restrained if I wouldn't take my medication. My mother was not contacted. They contacted my elderly grandparents. They said, we don't want them. And now they, are deceased, but I don't blame them. Okay. It's like my mom always says to me, I wish I would have done better. And I said, Mom, you can't change what happened. They gave you the runaround. And that's what the system does.
For sure.
They'll say, okay, you're going to get your kid back if you go through substance abuse treatment for 6 months. Then once that 6 months is up, they end up doing more things. Because they want the kid for the paycheck, and they want to hand the kid 3 pairs of jeans, T-shirts, and Walmart clothes when they're getting paid so much money. The problem isn't really it's the system in general. It's the system.
Absolutely.
It's ways to make money.
Hey, Rocko, I want to ask you a question. Do you know how many foster homes you were in total?
I would say I was in, I was shipped all the way around Missouri. I believe I was being trafficked 2 weeks before my mom found me at 110 pounds, two black eyes, and bruised ribs. I looked very malnourished. I looked very pale.
Yeah.
The home I was living in, the minute I got into that home, it was thugs. It was on Independence Avenue. I ended up in the middle of Kansas City, Missouri, in some no name, no permits, no nothing. We had the home shut down originally. But who's to say that, it's not open somewhere else? But I live fairly close, and I always have to keep my eyes everywhere because I'm considered a target because I shut down, I believe, a pretty decent operation that they had going on because it was in the middle of Independence Avenue.
Yeah.
The cops on Independence Avenue at this time did not really care about any. And then when my mom came to get me, they told her, "We're not going down the neighborhood he's in. We'll get shot at."
Oh.
But I was told by a kid 2 weeks before. I had already had it planned in my head. And the day that I actually ran was the day that a woman was across the street and I was in the front yard. And, in these places, they don't care if you smoke cigarettes. They don't care if you don't come home on time. There's broken windows with, cardboard in the windows. They feed you 2-week-old pasta. Was my first meal at this place.
How old were you?
Ramen noodles.
How old were you when this ended? Being in that system, like, did you take it all the way to the end at 18?
I came home till about 16.
16, and that
I was about 16.
And you went with your mom came and
they
got
were going to sell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I ran after I got the hell kicked out of me by one of the staff. But I had already known it was time to fight or flight.
Right.
And I was scared to death.
Is that how you ended up at your mother's?
I'm sorry?
Is that how you ended up with your mom?
Oh, my mom came back and literally had to steal me.
Okay, that's what I was.
They were very argumentative.
That's what I was trying to.
She said, "Do you want me to call the FBI right now? Because I am going to report the fact that my son's clothes were ripped up and covered in mold. The house had broken windows. The staff members were smoking crack when she pulled up in the morning in suits and ties, like they're Christians.
Right.
Sunday morning Christians is what I called them." And I was in a bunch of homes where they'd say, "Oh, the case manager's coming, you got to look good. So put on that one shirt I bought you, meanwhile, I just pocketed more money, and I can't get my records." So
Rocko,
run around.
This is what I need to do. What we need to do is I need to take a quick break. And as soon as we come back, what I want to do is I want to hop into what does life look like today? And we'll answer some of those questions for people. And we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Bob Hokertle from Kings Road Brewing Company. I'm here to tell you about a brand new show on RVN Television called Cooking with the King. Each week, we're going to taste and sample some of the best beers the Kings Road Brewing Company has to offer. And we're going to talk to area chefs and restaurant owners as we pair our beer with their signature dishes. We're going to teach you how to cook and eat like a king. Cheers.
A stroke can be easy to detect. A loved one can't speak. Perhaps they can't move. But there's another sign of a stroke that many of us can't see. It's called spatial neglect, and it can occur during or after a stroke, causing distorted visual movements. Fortunately, there's a solution by using optical prism technology during rehabilitation. If you or a loved one have experienced a stroke, ask your doctor about spatial neglect. Spatial neglect. See the whole picture at KesslerFoundation.org.
Are you burned out, disenfranchised, disengaged, extremely distracted? Do you feel that you're lost in semantics, over-leveraged, overwhelmed? My name is Lisa Fratelli, and I have a show on RVNTV.
Welcome back to Hands Off with my guest, Rocko, who really just kind of went through a horrific story of his abuse within foster care. And I want to bring up a picture real quick that we will reference. So this is him as a little boy. And I think the part that breaks my heart is that I just couldn't even imagine doing something to a child this age that, like, I mean, when you look at him, like, look at that. He is a little boy. So, for you to be here today, Rocko, is really like amazing. So, let me start off by asking you, like, first, tell me, what do you think the number one contributing factor was that got you through those rough days? Like, was it thinking that the end was near? Was it you just saying, all right, I just got to hang on until I get out? Like, what do you think the number one thing was?
It was always fight or flight.
I totally get it. As a matter of fact, what's interesting is I had somebody here last week that was telling her story, and she said that the number one thing, it was kind of like spite, that she was going to get through this just fight her way through it out of spite. So I totally appreciate that.
I was very spiteful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I totally get that.
I was very spiteful.
And so what I would like to ask you is, what effects do you have as a result of that type of treatment that took place? Like, lasting effects that you are aware of?
I have trouble with relationship. I am not with my children's mother.
Yeah.
I am a co-parent. I am there for my children. But sometimes what I do is I get in a poor me state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing that I always keep close to me, my father said, it was a saying. He basically told me, he said, you know, never give up. Never give up.
Yeah.
Never give up.
For sure.
No matter what.
I totally appreciate that. And I totally see that was probably something that helped you to get through it. And so you mentioned you have children. How many children do you have?
I have two beautiful little daughters.
How old are they?
One is 4, and one is 2.
That's awesome. And one of the things that I remember you saying, one of the things I remember you saying very early on to me is that you fight every day to not go down the dark rabbit hole for them. And I so appreciate that, because they need you. And I think that that's pretty amazing. Do you have a relationship with your mom? Do you have a relationship with any other family members that you know of, or is it just your mom, or is she still alive today?
I actually do have a wonderful relationship with my mom now. Now, what the system did do is they did, reform me to being basically evil towards my mother and blaming her, and because they put it in my head that I was never going to see my mother. Sure. I had foster parents that were so obsessed that they were trying to get me to leave the state of Missouri and go to Florida with them. Mm-hmm. And they would tell me I'm never going to see my mother again. And I'd always tell these foster parents, yes, I am. You're not my parents.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing to me. Like, and like I know it's really hard, like, to not have that feeling towards your mom because of what was instilled in you. But do you try to bring yourself into focus, knowing that this is a result of what took place, and that she obviously wants to have a relationship with you and be in your life. And is she a grandmom to your two little girls?
Oh my God, she loves my kids. And the other thing is, she's having problems right now. And I'm realizing that the shoe is on the other foot now. And I'm the son and she's the mother.
Yep.
No matter what.
Sure.
I
totally get that.
She told me that she would call these places looking for me, and they tell her that I'm not allowed to talk.
It's incredible.
Or I'm not there.
People were making money off of that.
I'm no longer there.
Yeah.
Or they'd hang the phone up.
Yeah.
It's, I'm going to live with it for the rest of my life. But if
Absolutely.
I stay, pain and suffering can be a gift. But if I sit in that pain and suffering and I don't move forward,
yes,
and I don't put work into it, which is limitless, which means there's no stopping me. If I want that goal, I'm going to get that goal.
So that brings up a really great question. Why did you want to speak out on this show and be interviewed? And I know you've done some speaking out as well too on like social media, but like why? What is it that you want to accomplish in speaking out?
I want families to not have to deal with family courts. They're the most corrupt, disgusting people. Guardian litem should not be in control of people's money. They use and abuse. I am on here to tell you, I know for a fact, because of the way I was treated while I was in the system. That's why I'm here. There's a lot of foster kids out there that their voices are not being heard.
For sure.
And you're hearing the same voice over and over and over and over again. And sometimes it makes a survivor angry that their voice is not being heard correctly. Or there's this, drama, Futurama, whatever going on in the community. We all need to get along. Because if we don't get along one way or another, and you never press religion on anyone, ever, ever. So never do that.
Would you say that
because it was done to some of us.
Right.
It was done to some of us.
Because not everybody has the ability to speak out. So I think that it really is an opportunity for you to kind of add voice to those that may not. So before, I want to make sure that I don't forget about this as we get closer and closer to the end. So if somebody is watching this, and they could be somebody that is sitting in silence, but their story is similar, they can see themselves, see you within themselves. So how could somebody get in touch with you? What is the best way for somebody to do that?
They can reach me at my cell phone number, which is 864-867-3520.
Awesome.
Or they could reach me on Facebook. Just shoot me a message. I don't accept private calls, so please do not call me on a private number.
I understand.
And, just respect me and I will respect you. And, there's a line, I'm not going to talk every day, but as much as I can, because there's so many people that need help.
100%.
And, people like ourselves, foster kids, and that there's other foster kids out there that don't have a voice.
Yeah.
That don't.
For sure.
That need it. And if I can, get it working to where they're able to have a voice, I will.
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for doing this, number one. Number two, I appreciate the fact that you wanted to speak out, that you are open to having people reach out to you. I think it's a wonderful thing. And I know that there were definitely some rough times for you. I'm pretty sure that your dad would be very proud of you at what you have been able to get through and be accomplished at doing it. And as we come to the end, listen, I've talked to a lot of people on this show that have had a lot of like trauma and stuff like that, and even my own personal self. And I know that some days it can just be so overwhelming, and it seems like such a dark place to be in, and we often beat ourselves up. So I just want you to know that I think that you have a very, very, very great voice. And I think that you will do some great things out there changing the world. And that if there's ever an opportunity in which you doubt what you're doing, if it's the right thing, or you doubt yourself or any of that, just look back at doing this interview. And the very fact that you opened up your eyes today, that's enough right there. But you opened up your eyes, you sat down in front of a camera, and you told your story. And that is something to be very proud of, because not everybody can do that. So I think you're dynamic, and I look forward to you continuing to be in touch with me. We'll probably do like a follow-up down the road. I know you've got some great things coming up. Yeah, please reach out to him if you feel that you identify with this story and would like to just talk it out. So that is our show. Rocko, a big thanks. You know, keep me posted. People may find you on social media as well too. And he's got some really good things in the works, and we're going to follow along with that and follow back up with him. So be well, buddy. And I will definitely talk to you soon. So that is our show. Continue to tune. Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So continue to watch. We follow these stories, and we follow them for a reason, because we want people out there to know that not everything is as it seems. So ask questions. And the most important thing is that we protect our kids from being harmed in the future. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.